Hi, my name's Dale and I'm married to Angela, my awesome wife, and I've got two girls that are 19, twins, Jessica and Emily, and my son Nick, who's 17. I just want to tell you a little bit about how I became a Christian. I didn't grow up in the church at all, so I didn't have any real understanding of God as a young fella. Actually, I was quite hostile to Christianity and used to argue with people and thought they were a little crazy to still believe that there was a God. But around the age of 14, I went to stay out at the beach with my uncle and auntie. In the caravan that we stayed in, they had some books, literature around that talked about what the Bible said about the end of time. It was quite arresting and challenging to me to realise that this book seemed to be talking about what was happening in the world at that time and even now. And it started to make me think that, well, if this book is accurate, maybe there is a supernatural power behind the book, thus a God. And it actually frightened me. And as it talked about the end of the world and things like heaven and hell and the return of Jesus Christ and the finishing up of the world, I actually began to be quite frightened and alarmed about where I was at. By the age of 14, I was interested to find out about things like that, but also I started experimenting with drugs and partying and so on. And what started off as a experimentation became something that was absolutely habit formed for me, where I would spend all of my money, particularly on marijuana. I got into stuff like magic mushrooms that really mess with your health and your mental health. I became quite paranoid and down and depressed, even suicidal. At one point I put a gun, a .22 Magnum, in my mouth. I did make sure it was empty, but wanted to see what that felt like. And so a combination, I think, of growing up quite lonely and feeling quite different, and drugs and having a quieter temperament really mixed together to put me in a pretty bad place. And so as I went into that experimentation, I was also interested in spiritual things. And so I continued to be curious about God, and I met a Christian who talked a lot about Jesus and love and knowing God in a very real way, in a very personable way. And he sat me down once and said to me, Dale, you know, you're interested in the back of the Bible, which is all about the end of time, and you'll talk about the front of the Bible, which is like Noah's Ark and creation and all this stuff. He said, but because you don't read the middle, he said, you miss the heart of the book, which is the love of God. Anyway, and the weeks later, I cut a long story short, I was in that same fella's home, and on one Saturday night I said to God, effectively in my heart, something like, God, I think you're right and I'm wrong. And so I gave my life to Jesus Christ with the little understanding that I had at the time. And he accepted me and did an amazing thing. He gave me this incredible peace. In the book of Philippians it says that God gives us a peace that passes understanding, and it will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. I've found that God has been closer to me than a brother. In Proverbs there's a promise that says that a man of many companions may come to ruin, but there's a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And I've found God to be an amazing and absolutely awesome God, but he is also a friend who sticks closer to me through everything that I've been through, closer to me than a brother. I'd love to tell you that being a Christian means that everything is so easy now. It's not. But what I do have is that God is with me always. He promised to never leave me nor forsake me, and he has the answers for life. I hope this has encouraged you in some way. But I also like to mention that I'm one of the pastors at Living Hope Church. You can check out more about our church and also some other stories like mine that are on our website at www.lhc.org.au. Thank you.